It wouldn't be Tuesday without a jump cut, would it? We're doing something special this week. With it being the summer break, and there's not a lot of F1 news about, we decided we'd give all our F1 show listeners a free taste of the extra show that we do on Patreon every week. We put that on at the end of this week's show, so once it gets to Formula E, don't switch off, keep going. You've got another half hour of... the only way I can describe it is us talking absolute rot. If you want to subscribe to Patreon to basically keep us going, pays for things like software, cables, microphones, and by God we use a lot, just go to patreon.com/3legs4wheels and you can sign up on there from as little as $1 a month. And hopefully that's the only jump cut on this week's show. Right, here it is. Hi and welcome to this week's 3 Legs 4 Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with
Dan,
Chris, Lee.
Right, it's a summer break. I think we're about done, aren't we? Nothing
Bye-bye.
to talk about. See you later. Thanks for listening. Oh, hang on. Monday news.
Actual Monday news.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, we kind of knew it was probably going to be inevitable at some point this season. Just didn't realise it was going to happen so soon in the summer break.
It was only the other day I sent that email through to you saying that there's no way Gasly's going to see out the season in a Red Bull.
It was only the other day that Christian Horner was saying Gasly is staying in Red Bull until the end of the year.
8 days ago, I think I've seen...
And he had his fingers crossed and he must have tried the programme.
Well, no, he's still in Red Bull. He's
Yeah.
just not in the Red Bull car.
Don't forget, as we found out a couple of weeks ago, the drivers in Red Bull and Toro Rosso aren't contracted to the team; they are contracted to Red Bull.
And Helmut Marko's in charge of the drivers in Formula One.
Yes. So technically, Pierre Gasly is still a driver for Red Bull. Just which team and car they decide to put him in is something
That they've changed their minds about.
yeah, which they said they weren't going to. So we all knew it was going to happen as soon as I said that.
The only thing that I got wrong was I said that I think Kvyat would go back up to Red Bull because given that Gasly's issues in the main Red Bull team appear to be A, that Max Verstappen is doing a sterling job in that car, and B, that Gasly probably wasn't ready for the move up after 1 and a little bit seasons. Putting Albon in the car after only half a season, okay, he's not the same person as Pierre Gasly, but you could encounter the same problems quite quickly. So that's why my reasoning was I thought they would go with Kvyat, but they've gone for Albon, which I'm not against the idea. Fair play to Alex Albon; he's performed really well in the first half of the season in his debut season in Formula One. But this is the biggest roll of the dice that Red Bull have done ever, because if this doesn't work and it breaks both Albon and Gasly, they've got nobody left.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be Yuri Vips and whoever they can salvage.
They've literally
Brendan
got...
Hartley.
Yeah, they might have to call Brendan Hartley back.
But to be fair, that's why they're where they are now. They've already ran out of people
Well,
because they ran out of people for this year.
Well, the problem is Brendan Hartley was not a proper measure against Pierre Gasly for how good either of them were, because Brendan Hartley hadn't really driven a Formula One car in this guise before.
Bloody good point that I hadn't thought of.
Pierre Gasly was okay against Brendan Hartley.
The other issue was with Brendan Hartley. When he got into the car, it was already getting engine penalties, and it's not the driver that suffers them; it's that car. And in those last three races, 2017, he didn't actually start from the grid position that he'd qualified in.
He had terrible luck as well. He had some really bad luck, but fabulous hair.
We fitted a new ICU. Oh, it's a baked potato.
But Hartley wasn't a measure for how good Gasly is.
So do you think Gasly was inflated by the fact that...
No, because
if Gasly was inflated by Hartley, then the Toro Rosso last year was an incredible car.
Yeah.
Because he got some genuinely good results.
Yeah, he got some really good results last year.
Yeah.
But what I think is happening at Red Bull at the moment, as I said before, Gasly's probably not as bad as he's being made to look, but Max Verstappen is doing an Alonso-style job in dragging that car way further up the road than it should be.
I think Max is the best driver this year.
So far.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Red Bull are the best team as well.
Yeah.
Because they have only just got to the level of Ferrari, haven't they?
I think they might have overtook them.
We'll
see in
but
Belgium.
It's only just now that they're at that level.
Yeah.
And they've won 2 races and Ferrari have won none.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't help that in shenanigan-based races you've seen Pierre Gasly get lapped by Max Verstappen.
No.
That really doesn't help. And apparently I saw a tweet earlier on that said Alex Albon has been told that he just has to stay within the Mercedes pit stop window.
Yeah, or the same postcode as Max Verstappen.
Yeah. So that's basically, Red Bull are saying we expect Mercedes to lead the races for most of the rest of the season, but if you can stay within their pit window, that will help us out. Because Gasly wasn't doing that.
Yeah, we see. Red Bull kind of got this reputation as like a one-driver, Ferrari-esque team, didn't it? When it was Webber and Sebastian Vettel.
Not bad for a number 2.
Yeah, but then Daniel Ricciardo kind of proved that complete bollocks.
Yeah,
by wiping the floor with Sebastian Vettel and beating him out of Red Bull, essentially.
Yeah.
So I think Albon has all the chance in the world. There is a we moan about the meat grinder situation, but I would prefer Red Bull's attitude to how they're picking the drivers than Haas.
Totally.
It's trial by fire, but when it works, you get Daniel Ricciardo or you get a Sebastian Vettel.
Yeah.
So, and if you don't do that, you get a Grosjean. I know what I'd prefer to end up with.
Yeah.
I mean, this whole thing smacks of preparation for 2020 anyway.
Yes, absolutely.
It was very, very unlikely, and more so with Verstappen and Gasly as the driver lineup, that they were going to challenge Ferrari for second.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that McLaren or any of the other Formula 1.5 teams will challenge Red Bull for third in the Constructors' Championship. So that third place is nailed on.
Well, they want second.
Yeah, that's why
I
they've
think
done it.
second's in touching distance.
Yeah, I do. If they've caught up with or passed Ferrari now, and Ferrari continue to implode over the course of the season.
Yeah, the thing is, after the summer break, there are 2 races which, at the moment, everybody's thinking, well, if Ferrari are going to win a race this year, it's these 2, Belgium and Italy, are the 2, that they'll probably have the best chance of winning.
The only I don't think Belgium is going to work for Ferrari because they don't just need a power circuit. They need a power circuit and they need a hot power circuit. So that, to me, limits it to Monza.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even dry Belgium races, you're not guaranteed good weather. It's still going to be overcast.
That's still the impressive thing about what Mercedes have done this year, and I think that's more impressive than their dominating is they fucked their car, if we're perfectly honest. They've got massive cooling issues to the point where to get the car to finish hot races, they've had to cut massive holes in it.
Yeah.
Which is going to spoil all the aero and stuff like that. So it's almost like the other teams haven't caught up with Mercedes. They just have to run a compromised car for the rest of the year, and they're still thrashing people.
Only when it's super hot.
No, but even the normal, where we're happy with everything set up, has still got like more cooling vents on it than they want.
And let's not forget, I mean, I'm not really talking about Mercedes as such, but Lewis Hamilton has apparently asked the team, why didn't we win all of the races in the first half of the season?
Yeah.
Okay. That's
but I think that backs up what I'm saying, is that they haven't built a good Mercedes car this year, and they're still ahead.
Kicking ass. Yeah.
Terrifying, isn't it?
It is, but going back to the whole Red Bull situation, this isn't. It's not Gasly's fault that he's not performed as well as Red Bull wanted him to. When Christian Horner admitted that they promoted him a year earlier than they wanted to, it's fully Red Bull's fault. Red Bull broke a driver by promoting him too early and putting too much pressure on him, and then 12 races later going, actually no. Because I don't think, unless Albon's terrible in the Red Bull, I don't think Gasly will get called back up to that team now.
But if Albon turns out to do a good job against Max Verstappen,
Gasly will just get kicked out of Toro Rosso.
but doesn't that just highlight the fact that maybe Gasly wasn't cut out for like a total? Because let's take Danny Kvyat here for a second. Yeah, he was fucked by Red Bull. He went up to the main team, crashed a bit, clearly shouldn't be there, dropped out of Formula One.
Well,
came back into Formula One.
He had a full year and a few races in Red Bull, didn't he?
Yeah.
He spent his full year not being where he should be. He was Gasly in it.
Yeah.
Then the next year, where he had a few races, he was pretty much where he should be.
He was on the podium.
He wasn't on a par with Danny Rick, but he was in the top 6.
Mm-hmm. But he did crash a lot.
He hit Vettel twice in one corner.
Yeah. But no, didn't he do that in a couple of races as well?
There was two races on the track where he hit Vettel.
Yeah. But yeah, I think they got rid of Kvyat
too quickly.
And if they'd stuck with him, he was coming together after a year of learning the car.
Maybe.
And I think they've done the same with Gasly.
See, I know, because I mean, Danny Kvyat wasn't getting lapped by Daniel Ricciardo.
No, he wasn't.
He was either running top 6 or in the barrier.
Yeah, but
no,
like,
in his first year he was down in. There was 8ths and 14ths in there, if I remember right.
Yeah, I just don't think anyone getting lapped by their teammate proves they shouldn't be there. That's beyond the car doesn't suit me. Like being like, look at Russell and Kubica.
Yeah.
The gap between Russell and Kubica isn't the same as the gap between Gasly and
Verstappen.
Max Verstappen. You know, it's they have the biggest like performance gap in teammates that I can remember since Alonso and Van Dorn. No, it's huge. It's not right for a team like Red Bull. They need two drivers, and they want even if they are going to go number 1 and number 2, which I don't really think. What Red Bull doesn't want that. Red Bull wants somebody that's going to be around the pace of Max Verstappen.
I don't think Alex Albon's going to be around the pace of Max Verstappen. It's taken him 5 years to become this mature,
absolutely
rounded driver. And Albon's older than Verstappen, isn't he? As well?
I'll argue that I think Albon is in his first year seems more mature than
Verstappen was in his first year.
Oh god, yeah. I mean,
absolutely. Yeah. But
the number of tantrums that Verstappen threw in that first year at Toro Rosso.
Yeah.
But Verstappen was a spectacular racer in that first year.
Oh yeah,
he still is. He still is a spectacular racer.
Yeah.
But he's rounded off those rough edges. He's a lot smoother. He looks after the car a lot better. He's less aggressive.
He now looks like a potential world champion and not a potential Gilles Villeneuve.
Yeah, he's race winner. What's that? 7 races he's won now. Something in Formula 1. 2 in 3 races this season. So, he's done a pretty good job.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Do you think there's a minor panic for Red Bull as far as this goes? Because we still don't know what's going to go on with 2021 regulations, if they're going to happen. Claire Williams had an interview, didn't she, the other day, pointing out that Ferrari can still veto the 2021 regulations if they don't like them, which is not a good sign.
Including the removal of their veto.
Yeah.
Which they'll probably veto.
Yeah. So, that's not great, and it does look like these rules are going to get pushed back a bit further. It's more likely, I'd say, than it is we're going to get the revolutionised sport we were hoping for. But
I mean, we talked about this last week, and it's looking more and more likely that it's going to be 2022 at the earliest.
So, but with the idea of these rules looming, and it just in case it happens in 2021, whatever drivers teams go into 2020 with, they're going to want to keep the same teams into 2021 if there's huge rule changes.
Yeah.
So I think that's why this snap decision it's not even with an eye on next year. It's an eye on next year.
Yeah, Sean came up with a good theory about why they made this move now, and it's all to do with planning for the future. Obviously, they've got half a season's worth of data on Pierre Gasly and how he copes in the top team.
Mm-hmm.
They already know what Danny Kvyat's like in the top team. Why not take some time to find out what Albon can do for half a season? Then they can look at, if all things stay the same and Verstappen is in a Red Bull next year, they can look at the data that they've got over the past few years up to the end of this season and work out who the best teammate for him throughout the season is going to be, because they'll know what it's like for all three drivers that they've currently got under contract on the big team, which didn't occur to me, but I kind of agree with her, and I think she's making sense with that, because it's giving the team the full opportunity. Then they can gauge everyone. As if it turns out that the numbers that they've got, that obviously nobody outside of Milton Keynes and Helmut Marko's office is privy to, that one of the drivers is so far off in comparison to the other two, and Max is staying, then that driver will go out and we'll see Yuri Vips in a Toro Rosso next season. Or if they're all pretty close, it's going to come down to the smallest of small margins. Or Albon gets in the car and he keeps up with Max.
Yeah, I'm just looking at results.
In which case, we'll see Albon in the car next year.
It does make sense, but I don't think 2019 Danny Kvyat is the same guy who was driving the Red Bull.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. That was what I was going to say.
He's matured. He's relaxed.
I mean, a lot of it might have to do with what you see in the simulator from them as well. Which that's the stuff that we don't get to find out about.
So I'm just looking at the results here for 2019 of the 4 drivers in the Red Bull program. Obviously, Verstappen's way out in front, but the other 3, Alex Albon's actually scored the fewest amount of points with 16. Danny Kvyat's on 27. And Pierre Gasly is on 63 points. And he is 6th in the championship, which isn't that bad when you consider, until you consider rather, that he's only 5 points ahead of Carlos Sainz.
Wow.
He's only 5 points ahead of Carlos Sainz, who's on 58, and 63 points. He's behind Charles Leclerc by more than double that.
Jesus.
So he's nowhere near the backs of the Ferraris, and yet you've got Verstappen ahead of both Ferraris.
Yeah. See, I think...
So Verstappen's on 181 points. He's 120-something points ahead of his... 122 points ahead.
I think Albon got that drive in Hockenheim, regardless of what the results might have ended up, because...
Gasly hit Albon in Hockenheim.
Yeah, no, but Daniel Kvyat looked into his finish because of tyre strategy, whereas Albon was fucked over because he was running 4th before all the crazy tyre shenanigans.
Yeah, his stop was at the wrong time.
Well, the thing was, he was too high up to take the gamble with it. He was that high up. If they took the gamble with him, he could have won the race. If they'd have done if they'd have rolled the dice on his strategy as well. As it was, they didn't, and it just destroyed his race.
Yeah,
and then Gasly had another go at it.
The thing is, though, they were playing the percentage game.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. You're going to roll the dice with the guy that's further back. It didn't make sense to do it for him, but the drive he did up until that point was tremendous, and then to race the Red Bull and overtake it as well. He got that drive in that race. I'm convinced of it. Because we said, didn't we, 2 drivers lost their drive that weekend.
Yeah.
A silver one and a Red Bull one.
We've had quite a lot of tweets and messages and various points on the subject.
Whatever could they be about, Paul?
Well, I did put something out earlier saying, what are your opinions? And while we're talking about it, I'll just sort of drop a few in here and there. Dan Peters wants to know, if Albon can only manage as well as Gasly for the rest of the season, what do Red Bull do in 2022?
Albon will do better than Gasly.
2020.
Sorry, 2020.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
What if he doesn't? This is what I was talking about earlier.
I'm not saying he's going to be on pace with Max, but I genuinely don't think he can do worse. I don't think anyone can do worse than what Gasly's doing in that car. I think any driver on the grid would do a better job than Gasly's done. Grosjean would do a better job than Gasly.
Oh, God.
That's bold.
You can't do a worse job. You can't do worse than be lapped by your teammate. You can't do worse than be consistently off the pace of the cars you should be racing.
Romain Grosjean, hold my front wing.
Are you certain that Kubica would be doing a better job than Gasly?
I said Formula One drivers. And he just needs Williams to give him a hand. That's all. Williams gives him a hand. The car's set up. Putting glasses on. They'll be fine.
Moving swiftly on. Which is something that Williams are struggling with.
Juggling.
No, they're doing okay.
Frisbee.
Are you done?
Maybe.
Taking that as a no.
Etch a sketch.
Can we just cut him out?
I'm a colour commentator. It's not my fault.
All right, Taz, calm down.
Got another one here from long-time friend of the podcast and ace German Grand Prix photographer Mike McPherson. Great opportunity for Alex moving up to Red Bull for the rest of 2019. I think he can hold his weight provided he's given ample opportunity to shine. Don't want him to become another Kvyat.
No one wants that with any driver. Don't want Gasly to become another Kvyat. But
No.
I just think mid-season... All right, Kvyat was moved down after 5 races. But mid-season, just give him the rest of the year. Do you know what I mean? And also give Albon the rest of the year and Toro Rosso.
Yeah.
Tell them that they're going to swap them at the end of the season if you want.
Yeah, but you keep Gasly in that car, yeah? You've guaranteed yourself third position in the championship, like you said.
Yeah.
Take a chance, you might get second. That's millions of dollars.
Yeah, it's a risk
Millions.
worth taking, but if it doesn't work...
They're in the same position as they were with a different driver.
No, they're not. That's the problem. If it doesn't work, they're in a lot worse position because they then have Gasly and Albon that are broken. Kvyat, which they really don't want to put in the main team.
I think Gasly has been that off the pace. I wouldn't be surprised if he drops out of the program altogether next year.
It could happen. I mean, Honda have got somebody that they want to plug into it.
Who's 31?
There's also the possibility of Honda having 2 drivers that they'd want to plug into it because Matsushita appears to be appearing on the radar again.
Again, Nobuharu Matsushita.
Yeah, he's not sucking in F2 and he's got all the Honda backing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he had it. Did he not lose it?
He had it, lost it, and they're backing him again.
Okay, that seems bizarre.
Is that Jenson Button's teammate?
The 31-year-old is.
Yeah.
Matt,
I think he's too old to come to Formula One.
I'm gonna throw
Strange, isn't it? Because
another.
Damon Hill was 32, was he, when he got his drive?
Yeah, different era though.
Yeah, I
isn't it?
know. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Gonna throw another one into the mix that might that's got the Honda backing and doesn't have a seat in a series next year.
Jenson Button.
James Hinchcliffe.
Oh.
He's not allowed to have a seat next year.
He's not allowed to have a seat next year because his Indy team is switching to Chevrolet engines because of the McLaren tie-up. He's a Honda. He's a Honda contracted driver. Be good for pushing the sport in North America.
Is it ridiculous to think that, basically all the Red Bull drivers, isn't it, that's come up apart from Gasly? But if you look at
Scott Speed,
Brendan Hartley, recent ones. Brendan Hartley, Danny Kvyat, Albon are all drivers that were on the Red Bull program, which were dropped off the Red Bull program and then brought back onto it. Is it ridiculous to think that we could see a return of Dan Ticktum on the Red Bull?
Sebastian Buemi. He did do a thingy the other day, a demonstration in Switzerland.
He is still the reserve driver for both teams.
Yeah.
Tell you what, sending the Formula One driver...
Jean-Eric Verne isn't out of the question.
Jean-Eric Verne won't lead Formula E.
He's too good in Formula E.
He's too good, and he won't...
He's the only multiple champion, isn't he, in Formula E?
He wouldn't leave Formula E to
where
come
he's winning.
In and be either... He's already said he won't go to Toro Rosso. And because they wanted him, didn't they? They wanted him for this year, and he knocked them back.
I think they were talking to him, weren't they?
Yeah. But I think he even said it on the grid, didn't he? On the Formula One grid, that he was happy where he was.
Yeah.
And he's not going to come to Red Bull, and then the reputation he's built up have that decimated by Max Verstappen.
Talking of Scott Speed, We actually saw him win something last weekend.
Yeah.
Pogs.
A scratch card.
No, he was in cars.
Yeah, it was like driving and everything. It was the
Xbox.
What was it? The Canadian round of the American Rallycross Championship.
So there was Scott Speed,
And
somebody from Finland.
no, they were all in the World Rallycross Championship.
Got ya.
The American one was also having a round at the same time as the World one. So there was a load of drivers that I'd not heard of in cars sponsored by energy drinks that I'd not heard of.
Rich Energy.
Big Croc.
No, I haven't heard of Big Croc.
No, exactly.
Are they a big croc?
Not as big a croc as other energy drinks that aren't available.
Yes. Yeah.
Although I did see a can of that last week with the old logo on.
Yeah, I saw the photo.
Yes. Going back to...
But we had some good responses, though, didn't we, from people on their thoughts.
Going back to a few of the ones we've got.
I just want to say thanks to Mike for that one, and nice to hear from you.
Let's have a look. Frank Poe. Gasly had his shot. Albon took his Toro Rosso faster than Gasly took to his car. I think Albon can fight with the rearmost Ferrari every time.
That's kind of what the least expecting of Albon, isn't it? To be able to mix with the Ferraris, take points off them, although apparently he's been told to stay within the Mercedes pit window. So who knows? If Ferrari is going to drop out of that gap, then Albon will be expected to be ahead of the Ferraris.
In the Mercedes pit window, but does that mean in Bottas's pit window? You would have thought, which is still going to be another 15 seconds down the road behind Hamilton.
I
Not
think that whole
necessarily.
comment backs up what I said last week after the last race.
We need a rear gunner to help us win races.
No, that Gasly lost Max Verstappen that race
Because he wasn't
in the pit window.
He wasn't there as a wingman.
So clearly, Red Bull think Gasly lost Verstappen that race as well.
Because you said this last week. If it had been a Red Bull 1-2 at the time when Hamilton made his second stop,
Yeah,
there'd have been an extra car to get round, which might have held him up for enough laps for Max's tyres to.
Which would make sense. It's why he's been asked to stay inside the Mercedes pit window.
he might have got the extra Red Bull, but don't forget the other thing they could have done is they could have, if Hamilton was pitting, they could have pitted whichever the other Red Bull was as well. You know, if he happened to be ahead. So it's not like Hamilton would have.
So it wouldn't have been so easy.
Yeah.
But as it was, Hamilton charged through and just overtook Verstappen, who had dead tyres.
Let's see what else we got. Cammy Hutton. Feel like it would have been perfect for Kvyat to get in an Albon another season in Toro Rosso. He was not going to be in the Toro Rosso until hugely late on, and now a Red Bull less than a year after F2. Hope he can do it, but it just screams Red Bull promoting early again.
Unless it works.
That's the thing with the gamble. You don't know if it's a good gamble or not until it comes in.
If it works, no one says anything. If it fails, everyone points the finger.
I'm saying history repeats itself, and Albon is worth a $5 for the win in Belgium.
I think the bookies have stopped taking bets at the moment.
Have they?
Because it was 750 to 1.
Yeah, who was it? Who was it that managed to get the bet on in time?
750 to 1.
Yeah.
Which is worth a $5, isn't it?
Yeah,
of course
I think
it
it was Joel Benedict commented on Facebook that he managed to get Albon to win in Belgium at 750 to 1 before Sky pulled it. I did notice that Albon's odds have already dropped on Betfair from 500 to 1 to 40 to 1.
Even 40 to 1's worth a $5.
I've told Joel if his bet comes in, he is now the official Three Leg Sport Wheels betting consultant, guru / god.
But yeah, either history's going to repeat itself in that he'll do as well as Max Verstappen did being promoted early, or it'll repeat itself as he'll do as well as Gasly did being promoted
That's what
early.
I thought you were going to say, yeah. I thought you were going to say that history repeats itself and he gets demoted after...
Or he'll do somewhere in between the two.
I think that's where he'll land. Like, I think he'll just do a decent job. I think he'll do better than Gasly.
I hope for his sake that he does.
Yeah. It wouldn't be a disaster if he didn't. Mm-hmm. But I think that sort of kind of ties in with what Michael J. Kello sent us. What if Kvyat runs faster than both Albon and Gasly for the rest of the year, leading to the belief that the Red Bull car's tailored to Verstappen and undrivable by others. Could it affect top drivers' opinions of the Red Bull car being a diva?
That's a good question.
Less desire for drivers to come in and play wingman to Verstappen in a difficult car.
I don't think that happens anymore. I think almost driver preference is second to teams just building a good car.
Yeah, but if they've built it around Max Verstappen...
Yeah, but I think every team builds their car around their preferred driver. That Ferrari will be built around the preferences of Sebastian Vettel. But it's not like the designers talk to each other and go, right, what does Sebastian Vettel need? It's the fact that in the simulator, it naturally tailors itself that way because the driver will say, oh, it's a bit loose at the front, it's a bit tight at the back.
Yeah.
You know, it's not... They don't build cars for certain people, but they
do need to build cars that the drivers can get the best out of.
Now, this is something that I saw being talked about the other week on, I think it was Keith Collantine's site, Race Fans.
Yeah.
About the reason that Gasly's struggling with the car is it's not loose enough at the back end for him, and that's how he prefers it.
Mm-hmm.
But Max prefers
a tight car.
So it's not suited Gasly's driving style, and he's not managed to adapt himself to the car as well as he'd hoped.
But it's not. I don't think it's the fact that they've just gone out of the way to design the car for Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen was in the team when they were building this year's car. Gasly wasn't.
Yeah.
What happens if Gasly beats Albon over the remaining races of the season? Do you know what I mean?
Well,
they can always swap back after.
Yeah,
I'd be very
races.
surprised. I'd be very surprised because the
I
Toro
wouldn't,
Rosso shouldn't be beating the Red Bull. It's nowhere near as good a car this year.
No, but both
Gasly shouldn't be doing as badly as he has been doing. He's a better driver than that.
Is he?
Yes.
I don't know.
I don't think he's a good Red Bull driver, but he's a better driver than his results this year have shown.
He's maybe a better driver than the results show, but to me, that is being like fifth or fourth behind the pack when your driver's winning the race, not where he is. Not that the gap's too big just to blame on not getting his head around the car.
I'm not saying it's just not getting his head around the car.
Yeah.
I would imagine that the pressure in the Red Bull team is
absolutely
absolutely
it must be terrible.
crazy.
Yeah, especially when you've got one of the top. I suppose you can say he's top two now because I mean, who else do you consider? I don't consider like Leclerc on Verstappen Hamilton level.
Well, Leclerc and Verstappen have had a couple of good battles this year.
Yeah, no, but I think race after race after race
Yeah.
over the course of a whole season, you used to consider Vettel at that sort of top tier level, but I think it's difficult to do that now, isn't it?
At the moment, with broken Vettel, yes.
Yeah, so you've got two drivers which are like
Ricciardo. You
Formula
always
Elite.
would have done, but he's not in the car at the moment.
No, there's no point. I see. He's the big thing for me is what he decides to do, because I do not believe that he's not trying to work out how he can get himself out of yellow.
Yeah, I agree totally with you, and that's why I put in my predictions, as you'll see when Paul eventually does the article.
When Lee sent his through, so I've got predictions from all five of us.
Yep, I've been a bad, naughty little schoolgirl.
Waiting for the summer news so that you can predict things that have already happened.
Yeah, because under McLaren, I just put, we know this already. But the I had Ricciardo going to Mercedes. I don't believe Toto Wolff when he says it's between Ocon and Bottas. They're looking. They can't just be looking at Ocon and Bottas. They might be
silly if they just look at Ocon.
They might be looking at Ocon and Bottas as in like, oh well, is consistency better for us? Do we take a chance on a younger driver, or do we get someone who we know can win races when you put him in a good car?
Yeah.
So you look at the drivers who you know can win races when you put them in a good car.
I've done two sets of predictions. One assuming Toto's telling the truth. The other assuming that the facts change later than his interview where he said that.
Well, like we discussed before the
Have you got
podcast.
Bottas in the car where you think he's not lying?
I don't think Bottas is going to be in that car.
Do you think it's Ocon or...
Basically, if you look at the Mercedes results up until Bottas was in the team, they were doing
1-2,
significantly
1-2,
better.
1-2,
Yeah.
1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-3. That was a shock if they got a 1-3, but now it's...
That just sounds like a dull sound check.
Yeah. What it has done...
Can we have some kick drum, please?
Not right now. What it has done has hammered home just how good Rosberg was.
Yes.
Yeah. Nico Rosberg was a very good Formula One driver. Although he said some incendiary remarks about Lewis Hamilton. Well, not really incendiary.
He said he's getting older and not as quick as he was when he was racing Rosberg.
Yeah,
He didn't actually say it by name. He just talked about drivers who were getting older and not as quick as they used to
but
be.
then he said that Bottas has beaten Hamilton in 6 out of the 12 qualifying sessions so far. So maybe Lewis has lost that edge.
I think that's fair.
And
but
when you start declining, there's generally speaking no way back from your natural abilities.
who's the BBC guy that does all the articles?
Andrew Benson.
Yeah, he had a thing. I can't remember whether it was on the podcast or an article or both of them, where he was saying that he was told from inside the Mercedes team that Hamilton had decided to try and set his car up for the race, and he's lost qualifying time
Because he's racing.
because he wants his race car right.
Yeah.
Whereas Bottas, he wants to out-qualify Hamilton because he knows that's the only way he's got of beating him is to get in front of him. And that made a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Because Bottas is not going to chase down Lewis Hamilton and overtake
in a
him.
race.
Yeah.
You would think not.
But doing that might lose him his seat because
I think
they should be getting the 1-2s. They've got the car for it.
But I think he knows I think to keep his seat, he had to challenge for a championship.
I am desperately hoping Mercedes don't make the announcement tomorrow morning and I have to do a jump cut and this is all moot.
Maybe.
So-
There'll be a picture of a contract tomorrow morning that because Mercedes are the kings of anticipation.
Yeah.
Hashtag announce.
No,
not again.
So I don't
if
think they'll
it's-
do it.
If it's not Bottas or Ocon, is it Verstappen?
No,
I think there's a chance for Verstappen.
I think it's Daniel Ricciardo.
I think it's not a bad shout. I think there's also a chance Daniel Ricciardo might replace Seb.
Yeah, but I think it's Daniel Ricciardo.
I think Ricciardo would go anywhere.
Do you think it's Vettel at Mercedes? Vettel and Hamilton in the same
No, I
team?
think
No.
Vettel is going to replace Verstappen
If Verstappen goes.
when Verstappen goes,
I
and
agree.
then Ricciardo's going to replace Vettel.
Yeah.
That's bold.
Mercedes is the odd one for me. Does Alonso fit into any of this?
No.
Not in
No.
my predictions.
I think if there was any chance of Alonso getting that Ferrari drive, again though, if Vettel goes, who goes to Ferrari?
Ricciardo.
But what about Mercedes?
They've got Verstappen.
That kind of leads us to a tweet from Sean Kaczewski, who says, Albon moving up only makes sense if Seb's going to be in the Red Bull next year. That's my silly season gut feeling. Otherwise, you'd think they would have learnt the lessons in moving drivers up too soon by now. Well, you would think.
Yeah,
But
they keep doing it, don't they? So, and I don't think they're looking for normal Formula One drivers. I think they're looking for exceptional Formula One drivers, and that means they're going to have to burn through a few.
But they've run out of normal Formula One drivers who might be exceptional.
And they don't have a
So-
queue either.
Yeah.
Do you remember Mark Webber's Christmas card? Like the Webber Christmas card, where it was Christmas card was a seat he was getting a seat warmer from Red Bull, and looking in through his window were drivers with the helmet and a whole load of names of drivers who were queued up in the Red Bull program waiting to take a Red Bull seat. They don't have that anymore. They don't have Antonio Felix da Costa waiting. They don't have Daniel Ricciardo. They don't have Kvyat. They don't have Verne.
The Toro Rossos this year were both outside of the Red Bull program when they were brought into Toro Rosso again.
Does Alonso get a Red Bull drive?
No, I don't think so. No, because it's Honda. Honda would nowhere
Honda
fucking
would
near him.
not have him anywhere near the car.
Oh, I know that.
Unless, of course, it's in GP2,
Maybe.
which is now F2 these days, so he'd be driving an old GP2 car rammed on his own.
Saying that, no. Do you know what? I don't
think Honda would even allow him to buy a
No,
Civic, would
I
they?
don't even. I don't care about the Honda connection. He went back to McLaren. If Fernando Alonso goes back to McLaren after blackmailing the whole organisation, anything's on. He buys Ferrari. He buys Ferrari
And becomes
sacks
Alonso
Leclerc,
F1.
Sacks Leclerc instead of a black horse. It's just like the black silhouette of Alonso doing the horse pose.
We're supposed to be doing silly season.
Stupid season was last week.
I don't see Alonso on the grid next year in Formula One.
No, I don't.
Possibly in Indy, but not in Formula One.
I think it's such a crying shame though, because I do think he's still one of the best drivers in the world.
But it says a lot for the Red Bull program when the drivers that are being considered or that we're talking about looking at possibly driving a Red Bull Toro Rosso car next year are all coming from the engine supplier. Because, we mentioned 3 potential drivers and they're all on Honda programs.
Yeah.
And Red Bull at the moment have no one, and they are going to have to go outside their young driver pool, which at the moment only contains one driver that's old enough.
To be fair though, we talk about this as if it's like a really, really bad thing for Red Bull to have to do. But it's just what every other Formula One team does. Every other Formula One team has a young driver program. I know it's odd for Red Bull because this has been their philosophy, but they've hired outside the group anyway because Max is there.
Yeah, okay,
Yes,
but
the difference is Red Bull traditionally had a huge pool of drivers and burned through them trying to see which ones were exceptional.
Mm-hmm.
Now they don't, but they're still burning through them.
No, that's what I mean. So if they have to get another driver that isn't part of the program, take your indie guy. If he comes into Formula One, he's not like a Red Bull driver. He's a Red Bull driver now.
But they already brought 2 who were outside of the program. They dropped Albon. They dropped Kvyat.
Oh no, but I don't think it matters because they're not going to run out of drivers to plug into the cars because they're Red Bull and they've built the second best car on the grid this year.
they'll have to. I think they'll have to look at getting drivers in from outside.
Yeah, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That's what I'm trying to say.
Because if you look at
it's just not the way that they say that they operate,
Yeah.
and they're now going to have a massive rethink.
So if you look at what happened with Mercedes were kind of forced into Bottas, into signing up Bottas because Rosberg announced he was retiring and not returning in 2017. And Mercedes were caught a bit short because the driver market was pretty much sewn up by that point. They didn't want to put Wehrlein in the car because they didn't feel he was ready. Turns out he might not have been good enough. But they weren't quite sure where to turn. So they went to Bottas and gave Williams, let's not forget, they gave Williams a lot of money to buy Bottas out of his contract. Bought Bottas out of the contract, Bottas signed for Mercedes. And Bottas has been good for Mercedes. He's won races. He's not been great, I would say. 2 Mercedes drivers you want fighting for the World Championship, really, don't you? Ideally, in Toto's world.
You want them finishing 1-2.
You
This
want
is
Hamilton,
the problem, though,
you
isn't
want
it?
Hamilton, Rosberg, don't you? Pushing each other for the championship. Everyone else is miles down the road behind them.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's out of the question for Mercedes. It's got to be Ocon or George Russell or no, I don't think it has to be.
No,
it
I
has to be a
don't.
guy who wins races.
Yeah.
It has to be somebody who I think Bottas has lost his seat, and I think much like Vettel's championship last year, I think it ended in Germany when Bottas hit the barriers. That was it. Toto thumping the desk is not. I don't want to say his heart broke, but like he knew as soon as he thumped that desk, then I've got to get rid of him.
Yeah.
It's got to
I
go.
think you're right.
Yeah.
I don't think it helped either who he was chasing. The fact that he was
Chasing Verstappen.
struggling. No, he was chasing Stroll when he crashed in Germany.
Was he?
Yeah.
Was he not ahead of Stroll?
No, he was trying to get onto the podium, wasn't he?
Bottas.
Yeah. He was behind Stroll. He was chasing Stroll down.
I thought he was.
No, it was after Stroll had pit. You remember that crazy time that Stroll led a fucking race?
Technically, never classified as a leader because he didn't lead over the line.
No, but he was. But when did I tell you that, Dan? Or were you away when my Sky went messed up? Like it only messed up for 10 seconds, and I turned the TV back on, and Stroll's leading the race. I'm like, what's going on? This isn't like a problem with Sky. This is a problem with the universe.
Yeah, I have leapt into an alternate dimension. Yeah. But let's not forget Hamilton did make the same mistake at the same race. Didn't end up in the barriers.
No.
He ended up at the barriers in the other end of the circuit, but didn't end up in the barriers quite so violently as Bottas. But
Yeah.
I think that it had Bottas stayed on tarmac and not made that mistake.
Bottas proved that he couldn't be the driver when your lead driver has a bad weekend.
Well, when you
can't rely on him.
Well, exactly. Yeah, that's what you need to do, especially as Mercedes. When one driver has a bad weekend, the other one wins the race.
And of course, it wasn't only Germany.
No.
No, well, he was told he had 2 races to save his Formula One career.
And all the races before
To
those
save
two
his
races
Mercedes
as well.
career, let's be fair. I don't think he's done in Formula One.
No.
I think he's going back to Williams.
I think he's going to Renault.
I think he would leave Formula One before going back to Williams.
I think both drivers in the Renault next year are going to be ex-Mercedes drivers.
Wehrlein and
Ocon and Bottas.
Ocon and Bottas.
I think they'll be teammates at Renault next year.
Maybe. See, I think Ocon is a massive unknown for Mercedes, and I think I'd keep Bottas, and try and get Ocon a seat in Williams or something like that, because he's had a year out, and regardless of what you're doing on the simulator, he's had a year out of racing. Anything.
Is Ocon going to be able to push Lewis Hamilton?
No.
Like
He might
Rosberg
crash
did.
into him. That was what he was really good at.
Yeah. Is Ocon going to be able to push Hamilton like Rosberg did? No. Can Verstappen do that? Yes. Can Ricciardo do that? Yes.
Yeah.
In equal machinery, I believe that there are drivers who could push Lewis Hamilton. I think given a little bit of time, maybe another year, I think George Russell might be in a good position to get into that Mercedes. That's the only reason I can see them picking Esteban Ocon. Is it give him 1 year. All right, give Ocon 1 year, and if he's great, we'll keep him. If he's shit, we'll put George in the car.
Right, but here's the thing: like you talk about,
but that's gambling on 1 year and possibly throwing the whole year away.
Yeah, but you take the Gasly situation or the Albon one, promoting them too early to the big team, and it all going wrong. Well, we've got a nice mid-grid car in a Toro Rosso. It's where Toro Rosso usually sit. Is a good place for a new driver to be in, yeah?
Yeah.
So is it not, for Mercedes, just as risky as it is for Toro Rosso to promote somebody to leave George Russell in Williams? Is it
Williams are improving, that's the difference.
They are improving, but if they fuck their next car as well,
yeah,
and he spends another year not being able to fight anybody at the back of the grid, apart from he might have a slightly better Canadian teammate.
That's why I think Bottas will end up in the Williams.
You think?
To help Russell, yeah.
And
to give them a benchmark for Russell.
And I think Sergio Perez. I think Perez will end up at Williams.
I don't think Perez is going to leave. I don't know. I think Perez will still be in Force India.
Racing Point.
Yeah, that one.
The pink ones.
Yeah, Pink Panther.
It looks like Perez is about to sign for next year. That was sort of being rumoured Thursday, Friday last week that he's on the verge of getting the deal done for another year with the we'll just call them the Silverstone team.
Thing is, we're 2 weeks away, aren't we, from Belgium?
Yeah.
Still 3 weeks, 2 weekends away from Belgium. But by the time the Belgian Grand Prix rolls around, we usually know a few driver moves.
Yeah, there's usually a few announced that weekend, isn't there, as well?
Yeah.
So the whole Gasly Albon switch doesn't change anything because that's a straight swap. What'll have to happen will be Hülkenberg announcing he's off to Haas, and then Renault are looking for a driver, and then Renault announced that they signed, I don't know, I think I put Ocon in that seat. And then it'd be like, right, okay, so Ocon's gone there. So is Bottas staying at Mercedes? Then it's announced that Bottas isn't staying at Mercedes. It's like a domino effect. When one driver moves, then the rest of them start filling in.
Because last year it was the whole Ricciardo thing.
Yeah, Ricciardo caught everyone by surprise.
Surprise signing for Renault, and then all of a sudden, everything's changed.
Well, I was going to say just before, when we were talking about the Red Bull running out of drivers, that we shouldn't forget that Ricciardo kind of screwed the whole Red Bull program up, because when you've got Verstappen and Ricciardo, if both of those are happy being in your team, you can do the next 10 years with two drivers that age.
Ricardo wasn't happy because he thought...
he wasn't happy. But
he thought he'd been there longer, and he thought that the team were favouring Max.
Yeah, but I don't think the team thought he'd jump.
Yeah.
I think the team thought they would sign the extension with him. It would probably be 2 years.
Well, everything was being prepared for him to sign the extension because, I've said this before, but this video series has started of Danny Rick's World Tour, and he was driving the Red Bull car in various cities.
Yeah.
And you could tell the last episode of it was him turning up at the factory and signing his 2019 contract.
Yeah.
And it got pulled after one episode.
Mm.
You know, they had a whole five or six different videos ready to go.
But this is why they're burning through drivers at the moment over the last couple of years, is because they just didn't expect to have to do it. They thought they had two top-line drivers for their main team. Now they've got one top-line driver, and they're trying to find another one.
Yeah.
So that's why Gasly might be a perfectly good Formula One driver under all this. Is he going to ever challenge Max Verstappen? No.
No.
So you can't put Daniel Kvyat in that car. He's not going to challenge Max Verstappen.
I did see a funny tweet that was Ferrari have just announced their development driver for 2020, and it was a picture of Pierre Gasly in a Ferrari suit.
Tweet here from Davin Sturdevant. If anything, it shows that they were wrong about missing Sainz when they had a chance.
Sainz has gone to McLaren after he had an indifferent year, didn't he, at Renault? Let's be honest, his year at Renault. Well, he was on loan from Red Bull.
He was on loan from Red Bull.
And when they plumped for Gasly over Sainz, and Sainz just cut all ties with Red Bull and decided, that's it, I'm off to McLaren. At the time, I thought it was an odd move, but it's worked out so well for Carlos Sainz.
We didn't know that this year's McLaren was going to not suck as much as it isn't sucking.
Yeah.
But I get the impression
he didn't know that.
Him and Verstappen
didn't get on well as teammates.
Yeah.
So I was
there was plenty of arguments when they were both together in Toro Rosso.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because they could race each other. That's a move that's worked out that seemed bizarre last year. The driver move, like what a strange move. Sainz has gone to McLaren, but it's worked out so well for him.
Yeah,
I think we even sort of blindly speculated at the time as Alonso taken over his management.
Yeah, well, let's think. Sainz wanted to go to Renault, didn't he?
He wanted to stay at Renault.
Sorry, he wanted to stay at Renault. Yeah.
And again, it was only after the Danny
Ricciardo. Yeah. So it did work out well for him, but let's not forget. Even Lando said in that article about Carlos Sainz, and he was asked, is it nice being in a team with someone you seem to get on with? And Carlos seems like a really easy-going person. And he said something along the lines of, well, I could see why it could become difficult, but it's quite lucky that I'm a really easygoing person. Which it's kind of suggested that maybe Carlos is
a bit fiery behind the scenes.
It looks like Sainz and Verstappen have kind of made up off track now because...
Lee was saying before about them shaking hands, but yeah.
Well, no, he's joined the big iRacing thread with Lando and Max.
Oh, has he?
Yeah, they finally got him playing, even though he's a complete rookie. Gonna have to have a go at this iRacing lark sometime.
It's really hard.
I've got a spare computer I can plug into the telly now, so I can try it.
It's really hard.
How did you do?
I didn't race in it. I just had a go of it. There's nothing crazy. I haven't got half the time to do all this sports like sim race and stuff. Between being a podcast master and now an athlete, it's really difficult.
How many miles have you swum this week? This is more Patreon material, but
Sunday's my day off. So this about a mile and a bit I did today.
Very good.
So yeah.
If you want to hear more stuff like this, then go to patreon.com/3legs4wheels. This week's episode is free.
Yep.
Normally you've got to subscribe from $1 a month. But
if you're unsure about what you were getting for $1 a month, go and listen for free.
Go and have a listen
for
free to this week's.
Come on, it's 25 cents a week.
Weekly updates on #ShrinkShunt.
Yeah. I might join you with that as well.
It's good. I'm enjoying it.
I was planning on doing #fit450. It's now going to be sleek for 60, so it gives me another 10 years or so.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Let's find another tweet. What we got here?
I don't know. You have access to the tweets.
Yes, I know. I'm filling for time while I'm scrolling, but I've got e-liquid on my finger, so I'm not scrolling as quick as possible. Let's see. Is this one readable? Buster Doug's just goes to show: never trust Marco. The man said Gasly was safe maybe a dozen times. Nothing is true in Formula One till it's officially denied.
He never said he was safe. He said
Christian Horner said he was safe, but it's not Horner's decision.
And even then, he said something along the lines of, "He's safe for the next 2 races." It wasn't.
There was different messages coming out of Marco and Horner, wasn't there? Because Christian Horner in Hungary, we see Pierre in the seat until the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Helmut Marco, not so fast.
Yeah. But
which, ironically, Gasly hasn't been.
But I don't think Helmut Marko said anything to suggest they were about to swap him.
No.
He suggested that he was under pressure.
Yeah.
And that
I
means
think they both made it clear he was under pressure to perform.
And that means they're about to swap you.
I mean, Helmut Marko has been the angry man in and around Formula One since his accident, hasn't he? Let's be honest. Since that rock went through his helmet and into his eye and he lost his sight.
Massa?
No.
Oh.
Helmut Marko. That's what happened to him.
Is it really? I've no idea.
He was running 5th, I think, in a Grand Prix.
No, it was a rally.
Was it a rally, was it? Somebody went off the circuit and kicked a rock up and it went straight through his helmet and into his eye. And that's how he lost his eye. Ever since then, he's been a very angry man.
Wow, I didn't know that. I just thought he was dead ugly.
No, he's a proper racer, Helmut Marko. He knows how to race, or knew how to race.
And sold Christian Horner his first trailer.
Well, there you go, yes.
That was on his episode of Beyond the Grid, because he was looking for a trailer for his car when he was racing in...
I remember now.
F3?
I think it was European or British F3.
Yeah.
And the only person who had one for sale that was suitable was, in his words, this one-eyed doctor in Austria.
It's true, yeah. Dr. Helmut Marko.
Let's have a look. Another tweet from Rick the Ref.
Hi, Rick.
He's a wrestling ref.
I know.
I can understand the decision, but can't help but feel it won't be much better.
You screwed Brett.
Although Alex will probably be in a simulator between now and Belgium. I don't know if he's allowed to be. I think everything has to shut down.
No, factories are shut down. That's why you've got obviously admin staff and people doing all the contract work, and agents are still working. But the drivers and anybody who works in the factory, like on the cars and in the factories, all have to mandatory shutdown for 2 weeks.
So Alex is just going on a sponsorship visit to iRacing.
Yeah. He'll have a really good sim at home, won't he?
Either that, or he'll be nipping round to Lando's because they're mates with 5 hard drives full of data, and can't just borrow one of your spare sims.
Well, I don't know what the teams use now, but I remember up until what was it, 5 years ago, something like that. Have you heard of the racing game R Factor?
Yeah,
I've heard of that. Yeah,
it was like the big sim before iRacing became a big thing.
I thought there's now a specialised company that actually does it all.
Yeah, but R Factor had R Factor, and then they had a crazy version of R Factor, which is what the teams used to do that. So maybe, I don't know if they've spun that off into a separate company or something like that.
It could be.
But that's what all the teams were using, was this crazy version of R Factor.
So it looks like from the responses that we've got today, it's kind of, some think it's pardon me, some think it's a good idea, some think it's a bad idea. Just quick straw poll around the table. What do we think, good or bad?
It's not a bad idea. I don't think it can be, because they can't lose. The only person that can lose out of this is Gasly and Albon. Red Bull won't lose anything.
Yeah, I agree. It's potentially bad for the drivers, but the teams, I don't think is particularly thinking about them in this situation.
I think long term it's a good move.
I think Albon has although a mammoth task, he's got the greatest opportunity, probably that can be given to you in Formula One. He's going to get given a car with a really good chassis that seems to work really well. His teammate is going to be the on-form driver in Formula One.
Yeah.
So if he does well against him, he's going to look like $1 million dusted in gold. So the opportunity is there.
I think Floyd Mayweather calls that breakfast.
Yeah, but I think he's got the opportunity to go from being a mid-grid driver to being looked at as one of the top drivers in Formula One.
He just needs
Overnight, he can be an overnight success.
He just needs to not be crashy.
Not be crashy, and he needs to be half a second a lap off Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
I mean,
Easy.
Don't forget, this move has worked for Red Bull before with Verstappen's first race.
Yeah.
Managed to get the car to the front.
Thanks, Mercedes.
Mm-hmm.
Held off a faster car because Kimi was faster than him that race. Held him off perfectly. Got a win. Showed that it worked. He's not been perfect since then.
Nope.
But he's now at the top. He's now at the top of his game.
Mm-hmm.
I would say. And I'm not even remotely suggesting that Albon's going to do something similar. But if Albon gets his car into the top 4 in Belgium...
Yeah, a podium. Overnight megastar.
Yeah.
Also, again, we don't know how good Verstappen's doing because that car could be just behind the Mercedes. The car might be as good as Verstappen's doing with it. Maybe
I think he's dragging it down the road a bit.
Maybe, and you're probably right. Yeah, he's probably doing an Alonso with it, but we don't know because of how bad Gasly's doing in it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying at the beginning of the opening of the podcast, that it's a combination of those two things. Gasly's been made to look a little bit worse because he's struggling a bit, but Verstappen is way down the road.
Yeah.
That will always make you look worse when your teammate is doing 110%.
Yes.
And you're not quite there. That
I
Alonso
think,
Van Dorn, as you said earlier.
But I think that car is closer, even if Verstappen is pushing it a little bit further down the road. The car is closer to Verstappen than it is to Gasly.
Yeah.
So,
and Red Bull do have a realistic chance of being second in the championship.
To be perfectly honest, the way Ferrari been in the first half of the year, it will be a disappointment if they don't end up second in the championship.
Now this all depends on how Albon performs.
Yeah, but I mean, it's even if he can just be good, I think they'll do that.
And I think now it looks like we're probably going to see a McLaren driver 6th in the Drivers' Championship.
I think so. Carlos is looking good for it, isn't he?
As I said before, he's only 5 points behind Gasly, but Raikkonen's not that far behind either.
No.
So, Kimi Raikkonen in the Alpha
he's doing a great job.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job. Just picking up points where he needs to.
Is there a chance that he ends up back in a Ferrari?
Yeah.
Like I've said
Yeah,
before.
totally there is. Yeah. If Seb retires...
surprised.
If Seb goes.
Seb will have to retire for Kimi to go back. But that's the only... Because Kimi's only got 1 year left on his Alpha contract. He's probably not going to renew that. Probably will retire at the end of...
It's Kimi, you can't tell. He might replace himself again.
He might replace himself again.
Did you read the interview with him about that apparently Alpha tried to have a go at him for like things he does outside of Formula One?
And
No.
he said he'd not read his contract.
Yeah, he said they said I don't know, I haven't read the contract, and they said yeah, but is it not important? Like if they ask you to not do things, he said no, I've told them if they tell me not to do something, I'll go home.
Kimi doing Kimi things.
Oh, do you know what? Formula One is going to be a poorer place when Kimi retires.
Yeah. It really is, yeah. I wasn't sure about him returning when the news was like Raikkonen's returning. I remember having a conversation with our friend Martin Rigby about this, and he said, no, we definitely need Kimi Raikkonen in Formula One. I was like, do we though? Do we really? And we totally do.
We did.
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
did.
Yeah. Yeah. But I was not afraid to admit I was totally wrong with that.
It's not as bad because they were pre-podcast days, so
yeah, they were pre-podcast.
You weren't as publicly wrong.
No, but there's nothing wrong with being publicly wrong, as long as you can hold your hands up and say, "Wow, I got that wrong."
Absolutely.
Anyway, McLaren. God, I've not used that one for a while. Full-time Indy. entry in 2020.
Yep.
Featuring potential Marcus Ericsson.
That's the thing, because the team that they're partnering with, Arrow Schmidt-Peterson, is currently the home of Marcus Ericsson in one of their 2 cars, with James Hinchcliffe, a.k.a. the Mayor of Hinchtown, in the other.
But who won't be there?
Who won't be there next year, so we know there's at least 1 seat going.
Is it confirmed that Hinch won't be in the car?
He's Honda.
He's Honda. It's pretty.
His statement was something like, "I really look forward to driving with McLaren. This is really exciting, and I'm sure we'll be able to work something out with Honda."
It just depends on whether Honda will allow him to work something out with them or not, because
Honda and McLaren
will never get on again.
They will, but not for another 30 years.
I think the Honda Indy thing will be a different entity, and if anything, it would probably be a good PR move for Honda to put some of those things to bed.
But
that'll be Alonso.
The other thing is, of course, there's only 2 engine suppliers in Indy, and with the McLaren entry using Chevrolets, are Honda going to let one of their most popular drivers go to a team powered by their only competitor?
It depends what his contract is, doesn't it?
Apparently watertight.
Yeah.
Has he even read it?
He's Canadian. He probably read it and apologised.
Aren't contracts only as good as your lawyer?
So, do we reckon we'll see Alonso full time? Bearing in mind, what happens in Indy is there can be extra entries for the Indy 500, which is why you get some teams running 4 and 5 cars. So they've got the option of running an extra car in the 500 next year, which they could put Alonso back into.
It's possible, but I think it's a little bit desperate ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend thing, isn't it? Look at me. I've changed so much. I'm fully willing to commit myself 100% to this. Please come back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think we could see Alonso in Indy full time.
I think we could.
We'll see him in the McLaren.
I don't think he's got any interest in doing a full season of Indy.
I think he wants to win the 500, and I think doing a full season of Indy is the best way to do that.
I think that was a desperation move because he thought he wanted something to solidify his legacy outside of Formula One, and if anything, I think his time in WEC is probably just proven to him that what he'd rather do is be in a team where he can win races and championships. And I'm sure he could try and do that in IndyCar, but Alonso's not getting any younger, and everything else in motorsport or in car racing is safer than IndyCar.
Yeah, but IndyCar drivers can go until they're into their mid-40s, late 40s.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I realise that, but I'm just saying though, there's a different mentality of IndyCar driver.
NASCAR drivers can go into their 50s.
Yeah.
But we're talking about professional motorsports.
I think Alonso would be quite good at NASCAR, if I'm perfectly honest.
I think IndyCar drivers have a mentality that's closer to a Motor Grand Prix rider than a Formula One driver. I think there's a guts or glory attitude to them that I think you almost have to get that if you're in that system. I think
talking of which, anyone see Dovizioso's pass on Marquez on the last corner of the last lap?
I didn't see the last 5 or 6 laps of that race were crazy.
Yeah,
crazy.
Although Marquez throwing shade by saying in 6 months nobody will remember that pass anyway.
It's true. Did you hear what Crutchlow said about Marquez?
Sorry, I ran into him again.
Nope. He said Marquez is such a talent gap over the rest of the MotoGP field. It's like throwing a hooglim into a monastery.
But back to Alonso, as usually happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he'll do a full season. I wonder if we'll see him do. We'll see him race the Indy 500.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's in a McLaren, like Dan says, I don't know.
I know who McLaren's entries are going to be next year. I don't. I'm just speculating.
Go on.
Fernando Alonso and Pastor Maldonado.
Jesus Christ!
Well, on
is
the
world ready?
On the crashiness scale,
he's up there for Indy. He's ready.
Well, on the crashiness scale, Autosport seem to think that Felipe Nasser's in with a chance.
Was Nasser crashy?
He was a bit crashy.
He wasn't Maldonado crashy.
No, he got crashed into by Ericsson a lot.
Yeah.
That means we could see the Nasser and Ericsson team get resurrected.
Maybe.
I mean, they were great at fighting over 17th.
I think Alonso...
Don't forget, in IndyCar, that's still 25 points.
Yeah.
I think Alonso will be far too busy. Even if it doesn't happen, he will be far too busy with his manager trying to get him a seat in Formula One than he will be to try and mess around with IndyCar. He'll be that focused on trying to snaffle any of the seats, especially if we're looking down the road and thinking that there might be a seat free in Red Bull, Ferrari or Mercedes. He's going to be that busy trying to make sure that his ass lands in one of those that he's going to be too busy.
All right, here's one for you. Albon turns out to be thoroughly average in the Red Bull.
Yep.
Alonso goes to Helmut Marko and says, "I'll take the other seat." Do you put Alonso and Verstappen in the same team?
I put Alonso in. I put Alonso in Red Bull if Max Verstappen leaves and Sebastian Vettel doesn't go there. To be perfectly honest, I put Alonso in that seat over Sebastian Vettel. If you lose Max Verstappen and you've got to plug,
yeah, but I'm saying if Max Verstappen's staying,
I think both Verstappen and Alonso would be quite happy with Verstappen racing against Alonso in the same team.
I think so.
Because they both think they proved that they were better than the other one.
it would either be death or glory.
I don't think it would be death. I think it would be. They're both good racing drivers. Yeah, no, but they're both good racing drivers. So I also think Alonso, if he came back to Formula One, would have to be a politically easier character.
But yeah, Alonso's not going to drive a car in Formula One with the Honda engine.
He went back to the team that he blackmailed with Ron Dennis there. Ron Dennis.
Who didn't stick around for much longer, though.
No. But no, do you know what I mean? Anything can happen. Like we talk about, Marco said that, like, Gasly was safe, or Christian Horner said Gasly was safe.
I'd still leave it a few years before Alonso's safe to drive a Honda, by which time he'll be too old.
But Vettel was going to stay at Red Bull. Alonso was going to end his career with Ferrari. You know, Alonso...
He pretty much did.
He
just hung around for a few years after.
But it's every definite... This is definitely the thing that's going to happen. It's always something else that actually happens. So I don't think... with Alonso going back to McLaren, all bets are off as far as I'm concerned of where people can go.
I don't see Alonso back in Formula One.
I
think we should stop talking about
I think
him.
You're probably right.
So next year's Mercedes lineup is Hamilton and Ricardo Rossit.
The only thing I would say about him, just before we move on, is he's very quiet at the minute.
Good.
No, but I think if
I miss Alonso, but he's not coming back yet.
No, but I think if he was trying to get a seat, or there was less chance, I think he'd be more vocal than he is. I think him being quiet tells me that there's opportunities there.
Or maybe there's a hat expo on.
Yeah.
HatCon.
What's next in the news?
Total shunt.
I really think that's it. I think it's time to shunt it.
That sounds good.
Just before we go into this, all the best to Martin Donnelly,
What's he doing now?
Recovering.
Oh no, he's not had another one of his accidents.
Well, he got hit by a car when he was doing a charity moped ride, and he's now been told he might not be able to keep his leg, the one that he badly injured in Jerez in 1990 in the May. It's because an infection set in and things got nasty, and he's now got another 4 months possibly in hospital.
Good Lord, get well soon, Martin Donnelly. If you're not aware of who Martin Donnelly is, he was an Irish Formula One, well, still is an Irish Formula One driver. But he one of the biggest accidents we've never seen because the cameras didn't properly catch it.
It was in practice, and that wasn't filmed too much back then. If you
But
watch
the aftermath.
if you watch the Senna movie,
Yeah.
the crash that he was in, it actually launched him out of the car, and he was lying in the middle of the circuit, still in his seat.
Oh, is
Yeah.
that him, was it?
Yeah.
I've seen that crash. I didn't know who it was.
Yeah.
I've seen the pictures.
There's a guy lying in the middle of the circuit, not breathing. That's
Wow.
Martin Donnelly. Yeah.
That's not where you want to be.
Yeah.
No,
come back
not
from
at
that,
all.
and he's in a bad state at
It's
the
like,
moment.
you
There is-
should be in a car, lad.
Yeah, he's got a book out as well. So, talking about the accident and how his recovery from the accident, and he was told he would never walk again, and then was walking again, and then was told he'd never race again. Eventually, he did race again, albeit at lower levels. Never reached the top level again, but. Yeah, still a remarkable recovery from a man, and I'm sure he can do it again. So get well soon,
He's in a bad
Martin.
way at the moment, but get well soon.
Yeah.
Shunt time.
Are we ready?
Who's it
Yep.
from?
This one was sent in by Voice of the Drunk People. I haven't got your name.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, no, it's Cody Piscatelli.
Piscatelli.
Yeah. He wrote it phonetically for me as well, and I still fucked it.
I think we've had one from Cody before, and if I remember right, it was quite a good one.
Yeah, I don't think it was this
Rack your
one.
memory just in case it's the same one.
No, I think I'm pretty good on this one.
Let's go.
Right, so it's not Murray Walker.
I was born
Good start.
in 2011.
Okay.
Right. Probably not a driver.
Unless they're already on the Red Bull program.
Or a driver for them. I'm of French descent.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I am white, but partly black. I feel that might be leading me somewhere, and I'm not biting. I'd like a guess. Don't jump in all at once.
I'll try not to. DRS.
How is that white but partly black?
Maybe the first team to use it had a black upper edge on the rear wing and a white lower edge.
Seems like reaching a bit, but
Yeah,
I
it
don't
does.
have any better answers.
Yeah, go on then. DRS.
I like to get dirty.
Okay.
Was that a clue or just...
It was just a slip up. I have a yellow star.
Right.
Okay.
I was part of last year's winning team in the only event in which racers from all around the world in my sport compete.
Modern day race of champions.
Could be. What's the
No, it was going before 2011 because I remember.
Yeah, but what's the there is a car that they had designed just for them. The one with the incredibly springy suspension.
No idea.
I think it might even be called the Rocket or something.
That was question 6, by the way.
So you do need a guess.
Yeah, go on. What you said.
Yeah, the specially designed Racer Champions car is the best I can come up with at the minute.
That sort of buggy-looking thing.
Yeah,
Right. Cool.
with the 4 separate suspensions, one on each corner, and
Is that the one that broke Verline's neck?
Yep.
yeah, that's the bunny. I think Massa had a huge off in it as well at the same time. Oh, no, Massa took Verline off. That was it.
It destroyed what could have been a massively average Formula 1 career.
Brazil versus Germany.
I have very strong ties to a former Formula 1 world champion.
Oh wait, when did A1 GP start? That was earlier, wasn't it? A lot earlier.
That was
Early
yeah.
2000s, if not 2000, wasn't it?
It was. I think it was about 2004.
Yeah,
Right.
something like that. I remember me and you watching the first race and the Manx Arms going, what is this shit?
No, it was awful. Yeah. Okay.
Is one of the Manx? Oh, no, he's not driving. That's
Yeah.
weird. He's part of the team. Dan's batteries have run out.
That's my thinking face.
Thought you just powered down for the night.
I've not got a clue yet at all whatsoever.
We better have another clue.
I started on 4 wheels, but switched to 2 in 2013. I think he's done yous.
He might well have done.
When did Johnny Walker switch from McLaren to
Someone else?
to being? It's not Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker was still on the McLaren in 2014, wasn't it?
I think it was on the McLaren up to about 2015 or 16, possibly.
Yeah. Because that's when Mika Hakkinen came back and they were making the promise to never drink and drive.
When you... So, well, that is Heineken, but...
Yes.
Yeah. Another clue?
I am one of the main focuses of a large Swedish-Austrian motorcycle manufacturer.
The only Austrian motorcycle manufacturer I know of is KTM. I didn't know they had much to do with Sweden.
Didn't know they were Austrian.
Dakar?
Well, no,
most of it's done in Dakar.
Well, no, it's two wheels, so it could be the bike.
Oh, I like it.
It's of French descent because it started off as Paris-Dakar.
And it's now Patagonia to Montevideo.
Yeah. Since
I quite like I like the idea that Paul's guess about the car. It's of French descent because of what you said. I don't know about the colouring. Ignore that. But yeah, I think that kind of fits the Race of Champions car that you said before.
You have another clue and a spaffer if you want it.
I think we're probably going to need the spaffer, but we'll have the other clue first.
A Frenchman and an Englishman ride me. That is a clue, not a slip up.
Nobody around this
wheels now switched to 2.
Nobody around this table will get the reference, but I'm going for Belinda Blumenthal. Let's just see who comes back with something on that.
I'll go for Heston Blumenthal.
No, it's got to be ridden by a youngish driver. These are all jokes. If you know, you know. You know. Frenchman, Englishman. Was that ride me or drive me?
Ride me.
So that could be the 2-wheel bit.
No idea.
Spaffer?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
I compete in the MXGP World Motocross Championship.
Of which I have never seen anything.
There's people screaming.
I know there will be.
at their
There
iPod.
will be. I've got a motocross game on the PlayStation, but
Should play it more.
I probably should. But just been playing.
Yeah, I'll take the hit on this one. I'm out.
Just been playing a lot of Spider-Man for the last week. Oh, so far out the microphone is actually in the air.
Flood's tapped out.
Yeah.
I've got nothing.
I got nothing at the moment.
Never has somebody won by submission before.
You've got us.
I am Kimi Räikkönen's factory, unpronounceable word beginning with H, motocross team.
Husqvarna.
Yeah, motocross team, Ice One Racing.
Now, if you'd have said my name's also associated with chainsaws and leaf blowers, we might have stood a chance.
Absolutely doniers.
Completely. Yep. Of course, KTM are entering a Husqvarna branded team in Moto3 next year. Which they only announced at the weekend, and bloody hell.
That was
quite
excellent.
tough.
Cody, that was great.
Yeah.
But that was excellent. That was what a serious shunt should be.
Correct.
That was definitely not a novelty comedy shunt.
There's nothing wrong with novelty comedy shunts, don't get me wrong, but that was a 5-star quiz shunt in my eyes.
Really well done. So how do you get a total shunt into us?
You can tweet me at Total Shunt in a private message. You can PM me on Instagram and get them in that way.
And if you are slightly old school and want to send it by email, send it to me, which I will pick up at 3legs4wheels@gmail.com, and I will use that in the reserve pile when Lee's not here or I'm feeling particularly evil one night. If you want to get a tweet through to the show, then we are on Twitter at 3legs4wheels, same on Instagram, and you can get us on Facebook at 3legs4wheels as well. And individually we are
At Flood21.
At Dan Dankleton.
and at Pablo100. Sean is at Sean Cowper. I think that just leaves Formula Lee, and I have an apology to make this week.
Oh dear, Paul.
I didn't realise that the car that I picked, the 2010 McLaren, wasn't in every version of the game. So, we're changing the car. It's still Baku, it's still in the dry, but it's going to be the 2004 Ferrari. Some of you have already seen this, I put it on Facebook and Twitter, but for those that haven't, 2004 Ferrari, which is in every version of F1 2019. You got 1 week left, and get the times into us the usual way. See how that goes.
Do it.
I would normally say don't forget the Patreon show, but we've talked about that tonight.
And you've listened to it.
And hopefully you've listened to it, because I will have put out a tweet that the Patreon show is free this week. We will be back next week. Chris, you are away next week, aren't you?
I am not here, not available.
So Sean will be joining us next week. And if Lee's done his...
Some people are punching the air and saying yes.
If Lee's done his 2020 grid predictions in time,
Yeah.
we will be discussing what all five of us think the 2020 grid will look like in
That's
full.
why I didn't do it. I didn't do it because I didn't have time and did it to create more content for the next podcast.
not to get a more educated guess as to what the grid's going to be given the recent announcement.
Oh, I remember you tweeting up on the group, Chris, saying, "Yeah, I've just sent you the things." I looked at it and I thought, I must do that, and then instantly forgot about it.
Yeah, I think I did it on Friday.
I think I'd forgot about it before I closed the window.
Oops.
Bit like I do with the outside world.
Yep.
We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Patron.
Oh, that was a quality intro there.
Should have been recording that.
I was.
Well, hey!
Could record it properly. I've got a studio set up in another location now. I was recording the first track from our album on Saturday.
Were you?
Wow.
Yes.
Ace.
We don't have a title yet because our lyricist and lead rapper hasn't come up with anything.
Lead rapper.
It's going to be a...
Are you joined a new metal band?
No, well, it wasn't...
Does he look new?
Have you joined a metal band?
Do I look
An
metal?
old metal band.
It's not new metal. Well, I say it's not new metal, but we have got somebody doing samples and electronics and effects in it.
Have you got a DJ?
This particular person has done some DJing in the past.
Does
As
he
well as
have
lots
a-
of electronic tinkering. You know who that
Are
is.
you gonna?
Is that our accountant?
It would be our accountant.
Are you going to use a Chaos Pad?
It's kind
That's
of
post new metal.
it's
That's
kind
like-
of worse. He's just bought one of those Ableton Live controllers with about, I think it's an 8x8 grid of
Yeah.
sample pads on it, and he's just bought one of those specially for this band. Alongside, we'll be using that alongside some metal. Oh, basically, I've joined fucking Limp Bizkit, haven't I?
Yep. Sounds of it.
Is your singer somebody who pretends to be a lot younger than they are and be down with the kids, yo?
No, this. Well, we've got two lead rappers. One of which is 50 and admits it, and the other one I used to be in a band with because he's the son of the guitarist in this band as well. Yes, yes, that way madness lies.
So this conversation's really weird because when I was making tea before, obviously with no recollection of what we were going to do, I was trying to work out in a sad world what would cheer the world up. and I realised that the world is in such a terrible place. The only thing that could cheer the world up is if the Queen covered break stuff.
Now, with the right samples.
Dear cassette boy,
Give one something to break.
give me something to break. How about your fucking face? I did do an acoustic version of that. I didn't play it live. I just played it at home. Thrown in some jazz chords and made it like a 1920s almost like style, like Charleston dance.
Why have you never played that live?
Because it's break stuff by Limp Bizkit.
In a Charleston style?
Yeah, slightly Charleston.
I've got on well at most places over here.
Possibly. Just one man and his guitar. Playing break stuff.
I mean, I'll listen.
We will have to do a random sort of 3 legs 4 wheels musical project at some point. We have a complete band between us.
Is a whole band.
Yeah.
It does seem. It seems odd that we haven't at least recorded our own theme tune.
No, you already did that for us.
I did, yeah, quite a lot.
No,
Yeah.
not on this show. I did that. I did this one.
Yeah, but 3 legs 4 wheels
Yeah.
tune was from Lee's old band.
If nothing else, we should get together and record the chain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Didn't Top Gear do that once?
But they did their Jessica, didn't they, by the Allman Brothers, which is their theme tune.
Yeah. Right. I thought they did the chain. So how are we all this week? Oh, and hello patrons, by the way.
Hiya.
Hello. I think they know we're talking to them, but hi anyway.
So, if not, they're really confused and one of them thinks they're schizophrenic right now.
The voices are back. Like they are every Wednesday.
Wednesday?
Some people don't listen straight away.
I suppose.
Drown them.
Now you're turning to Fred Durst. So, how are we all doing?
Good.
Okay.
Yeah, not bad.
I'm knackered, but it's been one of them days. I was trying to fix my parents' TV, bearing in mind they're in a different country, and I was doing it over the phone. That was entertaining because my dad wouldn't listen to what I was telling him to do.
Is that because he didn't have his hearing aid in?
No, it's just because it's my dad and he knows better, even though he rang me to ask for help, and I had the instruction manual for their TV open in front of me. So I kept having to ask me mum to take a photo of what was on the screen and send it to me on Facebook Messenger, so I could then tell my dad that he'd gone to the wrong screen and would he please press the right buttons to get to the one that he was meant to go to.
Nice.
But no, he knows the shortcuts because Dad.
Yes. Yeah, that was fun. After being stuck with my mental landlady for 2 hours.
Oh, fuck that.
I literally went to her front door. It was going to be a 30-second, there's the money from the tobacco that you got for my friend while you were at your second home in Malta. Thank you very much. See you later.
If I spent 2 hours with your landlady, that 2 hours would be limited by how long it took me to dig the hole.
Oh, believe me, I was trying. But I ended up repairing both of her TVs that she'd managed to break. Getting her internet connection set back up because she'd managed to change the password on the router. I don't know how because she can't even log into the router. Repairing the router, resetting the Wi-Fi network, and now she's offered me a job as her property and business manager.
I was going to say, you've just found your new job, haven't you? We're TV repairman.
That's my secret superhero identity. So, yeah, I may now be employed as my landlady's business manager. I'm going to get it in writing.
And you want £2,000 a day.
That'll do nicely.
That's the going rate.
Non-negotiable.
So I've had one of those chaotic days. Do you know what? Having a blood test was the most relaxing thing that's happened to me all day.
Getting stabbed, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
On purpose.
My 3-monthly visit to the hospital vampires.
Yeah, 3 monthly, which was how long since the last one?
All right, I'm meant to get my blood tested every 3 months for my diabetes, and this visit was like 8 months late.
Right.
This is the one that I should have had just before Christmas.
It is just before Christmas, I guess.
Pretty
kind
much.
of.
I always think as soon as July's gone, Christmas is pretty much...
It's on the
around
way,
corner.
isn't it?
You can see it.
You can feel it in the weather.
Yeah.
Autumn's in the air, isn't it? You can just
Yeah.
got that feeling of just like it's just gone a little bit cooler.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure we'll have some nice hot days still to come before like summer's completely gone. But it's just starting to dip away a little.
It's the time of year where you start unfriending people on Facebook when they're posting the "It's Christmas soon" memes.
No, I don't mind that. I love Christmas, and I think that there is nothing wrong with Christmas in like November.
Would you say that you wish it could be Christmas every day?
Every day, yeah.
Christmas is an event that happens at the end of December, and it's no problem. There's nothing wrong with looking forward to it, but that's when Christmas starts.
No, you can have a solid Christmas, like especially shops, a solid Christmas like decoration set up mid-November.
No, too early.
I was in Canada one year, and we were there over Halloween, and went into one big department store on October 30th, and it was
I've done that.
Halloween spectacular.
Yeah.
And then we went to the same shop 2 days later, and it was like walking into a puddle of reindeer vomit.
Yeah. Yeah, when I
Sounds
went to
amazing.
Texas, that was over Halloween, and again, it was like October 31st. Everything's scary, pumpkins, buy all your Halloween stuff here, and then the next day, like it was the Walmart actually. The next day, huge Christmas tree, Christmas songs, staff wearing Christmas hat. I'm like, are you fucking shitting me?
No, when I worked in a bank a few years ago, the office Christmas decorations went up on the 1st of November, and I just played no part in it whatsoever because it was just too early to start doing that in an office.
Bah, he said, and humbug.
Yeah.
The Christmas decorations went up on Casual Dress Friday, and I might just have been wearing a black and white striped T-shirt.
Wow. I hope you got buggered by a ghost.
Of Christmas past.
Yeah.
Christmas past, fine. Christmas future, come back in 6 weeks. Don't get me wrong, I do not hate Christmas. I like Christmas. It's time to spend with your family and friends.
Yeah.
All right, there's a little bit of overindulgence involved.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want it for a sixth of the year.
Yeah, exactly. It's too much.
2 months. It's because it's fine. 2 months is fine.
No, it's not.
Because it's not even like all of December. As soon as Boxing Day comes, Christmas is gone.
And summer holidays are advertised on TV.
Yes, immediately. Because as soon as Christmas is out of the way, you realise, it's winter. Christmas winter is different to winter.
There's winter wonderlands, and then there's like drizzle
Sleety
and sleet.
shit rain. Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm getting up and going to work and it's dark. I come home and it's dark. Am I ever going to see daylight again?
Absolutely love it, by the way. I love going to work in the dark.
No, I hate it.
I love early nights being dark because
I hate it.
I like going to sleep when it's dark. No, I'm a winter. I like hats. I like scarves. I like coats.
Don't mind autumn. Don't like winter.
But
As soon as the clocks change, that's it. I become awful person for a few weeks.
No, it's fine. I do not get sad at all.
I do a bit, and then as soon as I'm adjusted, I'm fine. It takes a while to adjust. So yeah, there you go.
I'm almost going to come over and give you a hug.
Oh, it's a touching moment. Spending time with close friends. Hang on, it's not Christmas yet. It's still bloody August.
Should we sing carols? Maybe that's what we should be. Maybe we should do a Christmas album.
I thought it felt wrong last night because anyone seen the new series of Glow yet on Netflix?
No.
10 episodes, but the 10th one's a Christmas special.
Glow?
Yeah.
I fucking hate it. I thought it was awful.
No, I think it's really good.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. 10 episodes in this series, but the last one's a Christmas special, and I was all for hanging on to watch that for another 3-4 months.
A Christmas special on non-Christmas times is a strange thing.
Well, have you noticed there's a couple of the lower rent, bottom end of the Sky Planner movie channels in the movie section have been doing like Christmas in July and Christmas in August. They're showing Christmas movies at the moment.
It's weird.
That I certainly do not get.
I'm looking forward to doing Miracle on 34th Street with Martin for not the director's cut this year.
The proper one or the new one?
The new one. I don't think Father Christmas is going to come out of it very well with me and Martin. I've got questions about him. I think he probably should have been left in prison.
But he created the dinosaur. Oh, hang on. I'm confusing Richard Attenborough roles again.
Wrong white bearded man.
Well, Richard Attenborough was Father Christmas in Miracle on 34th Street, and
Father
Did
Christmas
the
is
dinosaur-
God.
did
Father
the-
Christmas is God.
But he did
Father
the dinosaur-
Christmas is God.
did the
Good
dinosaurs
God.
in Jurassic Park?
Dinosaurs are real, Lee.
They are real.
Dinosaurs are real.
The devil put them here.
He did.
The devil
To
put
confuse
dinosaurs
us.
here. Very good.
I can't find it now, but I remember watching a video on YouTube with this like extreme religious woman that was walking around a museum, and she got to like the dinosaur sections. She said, "Well, I don't know what you think this is. You can call it a dinosaur if you want, but to me, I think that's a dragon." And it just, the whole video took this crazy turn where she thought, like, we don't know, they couldn't breathe fire because we've only got the bones.
You were the one that was going to cough, Chris.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not. Yeah, no, I'm fine.
It was tremendous.
Yeah, I went to the zoo and found those dinosaurs.
There were loads of them.
Yeah.
Arthur loved that.
Did you show him the videos as
yeah,
well
he's
as giving him the dino?
he's attached to that dinosaur as well. It's going
Good.
everywhere with him.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Not Barney, is it?
No. I got him a
just a
dinosaur,
little dinosaur.
from Chester Zoo when I was there a couple of weeks ago.
But did you see the tweet of my tea party the other day for breakfast?
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
He had Dino sat next to him.
Dino was there.
Dino for breakfast.
Baby Dino.
Yeah.
And then Red Dinosaur is Big Dino.
Yeah, big Dino.
Yeah. Big Dino, Baby Dino cardboard box.
Sounds like something we'll be integrating into one of our tracks for this.
Probably.
Not new metal band.
Has anyone else been doing anything?
No.
I did that bike ride the other week.
Oh God,
So
you did.
yes,
Yeah.
how did it go?
Slow.
That's not the idea. Dan.
You were
Where-
doing really well towards the end because I was at Paul's and we were tracking you, or rather Paul was tracking you, and it looked like you were going to finish about 40 minutes after the last track that we did, the last tracking thing that we did, and then it turned out you finished like an hour and 20 minutes after the last track that we did. Oh, Dan, I'll be finished soon.
Yeah.
Dan isn't finished yet.
There was lots of bits where everything ground to a halt and you were walking for a while. And I reckon that I did at least 90 minutes of walking on this bike ride.
Why?
Because there's 30,000 people and narrow roads and accidents happen.
Were the crashes?
There were several crashes. I saw.
Did you see any horrible crashes?
Were they Peloton crashes where everyone's doing like 35, 40 mile an hour and then one guy goes down and it's like dominoes?
There
I
was
don't mean
nothing
the pizza
quite like
place.
that, but there were a few where 2 or 3 people were taken out at once, and some of them were quite nasty.
Some lad died the other day, didn't they? Professional cyclist.
Yeah,
Yes.
in the Tour of Poland.
Yeah.
It was really nasty. He not only crashed but went off the road into a drainage ditch as well.
Oh, no. Cycling is dangerous, people. Just stay at home.
I'm surprised there isn't more serious injuries. Like when you see, like say, the crashes with like 30 of them, you think, how isn't the first guy dead?
Well, we watched the Classique, which is the women's professional race at London, the day before I did my race, and Becky got terrified at that point because I don't know, you'll have watched it, Paul.
Yeah, I saw it.
In the last 30 metres or so, one of the riders pulled over, touched someone else's wheel. She went down. Someone else hit her, went down. Someone else hit them, went down. There were bikes flying. There were about 40 people on the floor.
No way.
Yes. The person who'd caused all of this ended up crossing the line first and got disqualified for causing it.
Oh, gutted. It was an accident, surely. No one wants to crash.
She pulled right in front of somebody else and took the
She
wheel out.
shot one of them.
Yeah. Changing line in a bunch sprint is a big no-no.
Right, okay.
But I had to explain that, no, I wasn't going to be sprinting like that because I was going to be fucked.
See, all I can
Oh,
think
I
of
see.
is
So Becky thought that was going to happen to you as well.
Yes.
Yeah. She was like, you're going to...
With that being her first experience of cycle racing, she thought all cycle races were like that, obviously.
But all I can think of now, given the accident that was caused, is that it was Kevin Magnussen in drag.
It was a Danish cyclist as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's like Grosjean's not busy at the moment, is it? You know, summer break and that.
Well, he's going to be less busy soon.
I think so too, yeah. When we talk about that main pod.
Yeah.
Why, is his restaurant closing?
Yes.
Oh, right, okay.
Or having a grand reopening, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Maybe even a franchise with all that time he's going to have to work things out.
We're definitely veering into main pod territory here.
We shouldn't be.
No, we shouldn't. Is this the one that we're making free to everybody to let people know what the Patreon's like? So should
I
we
think
be?
so. We did. We
talked about this, and we said the first summer break one. So if you're not normally a listener to these Patreon shows, this is the kind of brain dump that we do before the main podcast.
Yeah,
just to
I
sort of
think so.
set our minds and concentrate on F1. This has got all the extra tangents that we
Warm
can't
up.
fit in. Warm up,
Just-
Well, so sort of collection
Sunday
of
morning
tangents.
warm up. For those who used to watch Formula 1 in the 90s.
Yeah, Eurosport used to show it.
I used to love it.
Moment of silence for that, obviously.
Yeah.
No, moment of silence for the warm up.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the other stuff that never quite fits into the main show.
Yeah.
And if you subscribe to Patreon, if after hearing this for the first time, if you want to, you'll get more of this every week.
You
So-
lucky people.
Somebody else say something funny, or cromulent.
Knackers. So yeah, so carry on talking about the bike ride, Dan.
Yeah, it was really fucking long.
Yeah.
And yeah, took 8 hours 40 minutes to complete it.
Mm-hmm.
And oh god, getting down there. So I was going across from the island on Wednesday night to drive down to London, breaking the trip up halfway. Tuesday night, I'm putting some stuff in the car. Forget there's a bike rack on the back of the car. Shut the boot.
Smash.
Hit myself over the head with the bike rack. Have to go to A&E to get checked out for concussion.
Did you knock yourself out?
Didn't knock myself out, but was quite woozy.
Do you think you might have knocked a couple of minutes off your time?
Yeah, I reckon, yeah. That's one of my excuses.
Yeah.
All right, Jacques Villeneuve.
And then on the way down, going down the M6, car comes up with a yellow light that says, warning, hill start assist's got a problem. And then comes up with a red light saying, stop immediately or people will die, your brakes are fucked. So I figured I'd best pull over and...
This is a car you haven't
Call
had for
the
an awful
AA.
long time, isn't it?
This car is pretty new, yeah. So, yep, AA man came and said, yeah, it's a computer. They do that sometimes. Turn it off and on again. It'll be fine.
Thanks, mate.
Was that not the first thing you tried? Turning it off and on again?
Yes, but one of the rules of mechanical stuff is when there's an engineer standing next to you while you do exactly what you've just done, it'll work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
Unless you're my dad,
It's like the first time
because he knows how to turn it off and on again better.
It's like the
Right.
first time you go and show somebody something that doesn't work. Look at this. It's just rubbish. It doesn't... okay, it worked that time, but...
It works. It works the same way as if you got something to show someone that's really, really good.
It
And
doesn't...
then,
no.
it's gone.
You had to be there.
Yeah, sorry.
And then I got there and front gears on the bike weren't working. So I had to find a bike repair shop. So yeah, the actual ride itself was quite easy after all of that. Thank you so much to everyone who sponsored me for that, by the way.
Well done, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes,
Up
definitely.
to best part of 700 quid for Macmillan Cancer Support now.
Fantastic, absolutely
So
brilliant.
yes, thank you everyone.
So are you planning on doing it again?
I've signed up to do 2 laps of the TT course in 6 weeks' time, which is only 75 miles, but there's a mountain to go over twice in that.
Yes, a mountain... Literally, a mountain to climb twice.
Yeah,
But you
I said
get
I had
to
to
come
do
down
2
it.
mountains, and someone got very confused because there's only one mountain on the Isle of Man.
Yes.
Did you punch them after they got confused because they deserved it?
No, because I'm getting married to her.
Oh,
Oh,
Oops.
Dan, you do realise it's still wrong even when you get married, if not worse.
you can tell what county your wife to be was born in,
Yes.
can't you?
But the... I think you'll find that easier, the 2 laps of the TT course, because it's surroundings you're totally familiar with.
I don't know, because the first 50 miles of London were flat. And I've never ridden on the flat before because we don't live where there is
Where
flat.
there's flat, no, not really.
And that's
why Mark
so
Cavendish
easy.
and Peter Koenig and others from the Isle of Man are pretty good at cycling because this place isn't flat.
We've got the prom.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, and right now that's not flat.
No.
No.
From one
but
side of the road to the other.
Fucked.
Yeah, oh,
Not
fuck, is
flat.
Yeah, 2 miles of flat-ish, kind of.
so
Everywhere
yeah,
else is uphill.
That's 6 weeks away, so I've got some time to build up to it.
Yeah,
Be fine.
yeah. I think you'll A, enjoy it, and B, like it'll fly by because you know the TT course.
Yeah.
and you're just thinking, okay, by the time you've done like 23 miles and you get to Ramsey and you start climbing up the mountain, you'll think, oh fuck, what am I doing this for?
Yeah.
And that will be horrible.
Yeah, that's about 5 miles going up a mountain.
Yeah.
And then you come down the other side, which will be great.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, as soon as you hit like the mountain, it's relatively downhill from there.
Yeah. And it's the mountain's going to be closed for it as well.
Oh, is it?
Oh, so you don't have to play dodge the traffic.
No.
Ace. Good
Is the
stuff.
course not going to be shut for it?
Not the whole course, just
What day
Just
is
the mountain
what day
section.
is this? Because I'm not getting in the van.
Sunday the 22nd.
Right. Okay. It's a Sunday. It's fine.
Sunday the 22nd. I may just stand by the side of the road and go, go on,
Oh,
Dan.
fantastic. Thank you.
Dan.
Bag of nails.
Dan.
Oh, that happened in the Tour de France a few years back. People were not happy.
Well, it happened over here
Did it?
for
Somebody
the
threw
Grand
nails.
Frondo, yeah. Mark Cavendish got
Oh, God.
Got punctured.
yes.
because someone dropped a bag of nails on the course
On purpose.
on purpose.
I'm not
Dickheads.
being funny. How do you do that and then take the Manx guy out? Come on, Cav. Oh, fuck it.
Yeah, I think the phrase is not big and not clever.
No, neither of them.
I think sort of kind of similar to the guy at the Chinese Grand Prix a few years ago that wanted his turn in an F1 car because it was always the same 20 drivers every week.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bit bizarre. That and the guy dressed as as a leprechaun running up the.
Oh,
thing.
he's
in the
notorious.
German John Grand Prix.
He's he's notorious for doing things like that. He,
British, wasn't it?
He
Was it? Yeah, I
invaded
think so.
the track at the men's marathon in the Athens Olympics and took the guy leading out, who ended up finishing about 5th because it just ruined his race.
That would have been different though if he'd done that to say Schumacher.
Was it him who walked out with Man United and stood next to them for a team photo because he was dressed in the same kit as them?
No, that was somebody else. But this guy that dresses as a leprechaun also got on Britain's Got Talent
Oh God.
For dressing as a leprechaun.
and doing bloody river dance.
Says more about Britain's Got Talent than it does about
What's
anything
he
else.
called? Cornelius Horan. He's notorious. He's got there's a Wikipedia page full of.
Is that his real name?
Yeah, he's Irish.
No, because he actually sounds like a leprechaun.
That's probably why he dresses like one.
Amazing. Maybe he is a leprechaun.
They used to red flag the race. It was a British Grand Prix, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He was running up the Hangar Straight.
Mm.
They had to red flag. I think they had to red flag the race.
I
We're talking
think-
main
yeah,
pod here.
Yeah, no, I think they stopped the race. In fact, they did stop the race because in my head I can see because I can see the cars coming down the straight, him going up and stopped underneath it. I'm sure I remember that being like a clip I saw.
Look that up between this and the main pod.
Hmm?
We can look that up between this and doing the main pod.
Yeah.
Sorry, I keep getting emails. So it's been a busy day for getting emails, as we will go into on
Absolutely.
on the main show. Which I think it's probably about time we went and talked about Formula One now,
Sounds
isn't
good to me.
it?
Play out track.
Play out track. Nothing new metal.
Are you sure?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, gonna do a track from a listener's band
Who's
who
this?
Doesn't know this that we're doing it. 'Cause I
well,
only
they
did it for
should
the
know
first-
it if it's their band.
Well, they'll know the track, but they don't know we're going to play out with it. It's a band called the Pirates of Panama.
Right.
Good name.
British band based in America. Just found their singers following us on Instagram, so I checked my band out. So I did. I thought, it's bloody good. So we're going to play out with one of theirs
All right then.
tonight.
What's it called?
It is called. Let me just bring it up.
It's a strange name for a song.
Ha 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 ha. Where are we? Sorry, I just need to go into. It doesn't go like that. Left-handed googling at its finest.
Just trying to keep you all entertained whilst Paul looks at his phone.
Right, I've got it. It's called Tear It Apart.
Right, okay.
So play out with that. I'll play it to you guys now before we do the main show, so you can hear it as well.
Yeah.
Thank you to everyone who has subscribed, and if you want to subscribe after hearing that, that is incredible of you. And
Just incredible.
yeah, we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Tired of working like a dog in a cage, counting down the minutes to my next smoke break. Sick of all the same songs the radio plays. I'm